Hey guys, good evening. Just working on some dry fire. Gotta, trying to save money on ammo. Nowadays it's really expensive. Anyway, good evening. Chris Cowan here at the Blues Company Dojo. I wanted to touch on two subjects tonight. Just real quick regarding training. One is regarding violence. The second one is regarding Hatsumi Sensei. Okay. The first one, I want to talk about violence. Okay. Violence is a scary thing in the world, and there has to be good people that can commit violence to stop the bad people. And at least in our dojo, I teach different levels of violence. And part of this conversation came about was because of a few videos that I showed my coworkers. We were talking about martial arts, and I happened to show them a video, and I asked my coworker, I said, what's stopping that person who just got taken down from getting back up? And they said, and this is a person who had no martial arts background. He said, nothing. I'm like, Now someone who doesn't know martial arts thought about that too. So the way I teach things in our class is the highest level is taking someone's life. Okay. The second level down that I teach is injuring someone. The next level down from that is hurting someone. The next level down from there is guiding someone in a way that they can't be hurt. The last one is doing nothing. Okay. So on killing, I teach that the idea of being able to take someone's life, because if it's a life and death situation, you may have to do something like that at some point in your life. Someone threatens your family, there's like a carjacking, a home invasion, things like that, a kidnapping, things like that. You may have to do certain things to survive. Now the next step down that I teach from there is, like I said, injury. An injury. I like to make the distinction in class between hurting someone and injuring someone. Injuring is always higher in my opinion. If I injure someone, that makes it so that I don't want them to be able to continue to fight. So that could be a broken bone, torn ligaments. It's something that prevents that person from continuing to fight. Okay, that is probably one of the levels I teach a lot. You guys have seen me in some of my videos and people who train with me. I do a lot of atemi, a lot of striking, a lot of daken taijutsu. Okay, because in a self-defense situation, I need to ensure that I'm going home. I have a wife and a family to come home to, okay, and dogs. I miss our cat, Mr. Jingles. But going forward, the next level down from there will be hurting someone. Hurting someone might be like, say, hey, man, I don't want any trouble. And the guy pushes you, kind of move off the line, and you deliver like a hook to his jaw. And let's say it stuns him for a second. Doesn't knock him out. It stuns him for a second. Maybe it makes him reevaluate his decisions in life. Maybe that just gives you time to go home. You've hurt him, but you have not permanently hurt him or put something that would put him in the hospital. Okay. The next level down from that would be, the analogy I use for this one is, pretend you're out with your friends, you're out with the guys, whatever, hanging out, and one of your friends gets a little drunk and he gets a little belligerent, and you need to go stop him from, say, instigating a fight or hurting himself in some way. So you may do something where maybe he's like, hey man, blah, 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 and you kind of guide him in a way where he doesn't get hurt. Think of almost like Aikido. You're taking this person down without hurting them, or guiding them in a way where it's not hurting them. The last one I teach is be able to do nothing. And that doesn't mean, oh, it's a stressful situation, a violent situation, and I'm just going to stand here. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm referring to is the idea of a violent encounter may happen, and the person goes to hit you, and you're like, oh, what was that over there? Wow, that's interesting. And you're basically ignoring the threat. You know the threat's there. You're moving with the threat in that relationship, but you're giving that person like nothing happened. That person comes in, and you're like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, wow, that's interesting. It's almost like a Mr. Magoo, an absent-minded kind of individual That's how you kind of want to be. You're not. You're actually very on point of what's going on, but you play that kind of attitude, you know, and so you're basically doing nothing. Okay, so those are things I wanted to touch on. Another subject I want to touch on, like I said, was Hatsumi Sensei. Okay, he just celebrated his 90th birthday. I wish we could all be in Japan and celebrate with him, but we can't, unfortunately, because of COVID. We miss you, Soke. I remember back during my 2006 trip to Japan with my instructor, Michael Simeon. And I remember he got upset with me one time during that trip. And we were staying in Noda, and I had to get up early that morning. And he wanted me to go to Shiraishi Sensei's class. I woke up, came downstairs, and Mike was sitting there writing notes from the previous night, from the previous class. So I get on the bike, and I bike my way to Hambu. And I get there late, fortunately. And I'm a big proponent of being on time, and I was like 20 to 30 minutes late. I did not want to go in late. I didn't want to walk into Shiraishi Sensei's class, come in late. Hey, here's this foreigner's coming in late. What's going on? I didn't want to do that, so I did not go. I came back, you know, after about 2 hours, and I was going to tell Mike, yeah, man, it was a good class. It was great. It was awesome. I came back, and Mike's still sitting there taking notes. And he asked me, so how was it? And I looked at him, and I'm like, I couldn't lie to him. And I said, I didn't go. And he was so disappointed in me. I say he was upset, but he was more disappointed in me. And what it was that he wanted me to experience Shiraishi Sensei's taijutsu in a smaller setting. You know, we were all still at Hambu, but it was a smaller class. You didn't have like 100 people in Hambu. You had a small class. It was probably no more than like 20, 25 people in the class. It was a smaller setting. It was a very intimate setting. And he wanted me to experience Shiraishi Sensei's taijutsu. And that made me realize something that kind of popped up in my head, because I had a conversation with Joel Everett when he came over to our little dojo here, and he said the comment he made was that he wants to experience as much of Hatsumi Sensei's taijutsu as he can while he can. And I didn't understand it at first until very recently. And that was probably like a few years ago, you know, when Joel said that, and it stuck with me because I didn't understand it and I was trying to figure it out, and it finally hit me. Think about it. Hatsumi Sensei has been training for a very long time. His taijutsu has evolved over the years. And what Joel was talking about was the idea of evolving with Hatsumi Sensei. As he evolved, we evolved by learning his taijutsu, his methods of moving. I know I've seen some videos of some instructors over the years where some of these instructors I've seen have never been to Japan or have only been to Japan once. And they post these videos of some awesome taijutsu. It looks great. It looks cinematic. It looks freaking awesome. And their movements, because my eye has trained over the years, you see the movements that these people that have only been to Japan say once or never. The movements are very big, very, very big. But when you actually go train at Hambu with Hatsumi Sensei, the movements are very small. I want to say chisa, very small. And it shows how the taijutsu went from more of an omote to a ura now, where it's a very subtle taijutsu, but it accomplishes a large goal. You may have an attacker come with a big movement, but Soke might bring his shoulder over and catch that arm, you know? Think of an attacker coming from Daijodan, you know? And attacker comes in, and Soke rotates his foot slightly to the right on his heel. And what that does is slightly gets him off the line, and then he dips his shoulder and comes right back. And he's right there. He only moved just a little bit, but he was able to deal with a large attack in that small, short time frame. And he's right there. That's what Joel was talking about. That is what he was talking about. So to everybody, get your ass to Japan when you can. Let me go back. Well, Mike made a good point to me over all these years of training. Dale Siegel has made this point to me also. Train with all of the Daishihan. You know, we have some people that say, oh, I only train with Ishizuka Sensei. I only train with Noguchi Sensei. You know, I only train with Hatsumi Sensei. Train with all of them. Because each individual instructor in Japan has their own way of moving. And all that can do is add. You know, we often hear that phrase, Bruce Lee, you know, you have to learn to empty your cup. I'm sorry, I say bullshit. I say get a bigger cup. I don't want to throw anything away. I will keep it, maintain it, and expand on it. I have days in class where I'll teach something and I'll say, pick one of the Daishihan. And they'll pick that Daishihan. And I'll do something. I may pick, and I'll say, hey, look, what waza are we looking at today? You know, I may pick something and say, okay, we're going to do Koku from Gyoku. Right? And I'll do the waza as the Densho lays out. But then what I'll do is, from there, I'll go, how would Noguchi Sensei do this waza with just a feeling of Noguchi? How would Nagaro do it? How would Ishizuka Sensei do it? You know? If we look back, how would Seno Sensei do it? Or how would Oguri Sensei do it? How would they move if they did this? What characteristic that they have would they put in with it? You have to be able to learn these things and expand. Remember, get a bigger cup. You know? I think about our little dojo here. This is my garage that I converted. You know? This has been here now for about 13 years. I've never had more than 5 people in here. And that intimate setting helps. It helps because we don't have a large amount of people. I can't focus on 100 students, but there's 5, I can focus on them and help them be the best people that they can be, the best budoka they can be. You know? Everyone, if you can, go to Japan and train, please. You know? We all have had that Japan juice where we go to Japan and we come back and we teach what we learned in Japan. And one of the things you notice when you go to Japan and you come back, you move differently. You feel different and you move differently. And after about 6 months, it goes away. Maybe you can make it last till a year, but it goes away. That's why you have to go back to Japan often to refresh your mind, your heart, your soul, refresh. And you'll see it again. You move differently.